Are you the one who helped my son?
The McDonald's door swung open with a metallic chime. Instant silence. Conversations froze. Fry baskets paused mid-air. Even the ice machine seemed to hush. No one moved. No one chewed. No one blinked. Because Donald Trump had just walked in. No cameras, no media frenzy, no booming announcement or sharp-suited entourage. Just the unmistakable presence of a man the entire world recognized. And none of them understood why he was here. He didn't look left or right. He walked 3 slow, deliberate steps forward. His voice, when it came, was calm, powerful, and terrifying in its simplicity. "Is there a Lauren Carter here?" Behind the counter, Lauren froze. Her hand tightened around a tray of napkins. The room spun just slightly. She knew that name. It was hers. But no part of her believed he was talking about her, not until his eyes met hers. The weight of 100 stares fell on her at once. The shift manager turned. 2 customers slowly swiveled their phones, half raised but afraid to press record. Lauren's heart pounded in her throat. She forced a breath in through her nose, but her hands were shaking. Not from fear, from confusion, from history, because somewhere, buried in her memory, was a voice she hadn't heard in years. "You're too kind to the wrong people, Lauren. Not everyone deserves saving, especially them." It was 4 years ago. She was 20, working the closing shift at a greasy downtown diner. A white man, ragged coat, tired eyes, had come in, ordered coffee, then realized he'd forgotten his wallet. Without hesitation, Lauren had paid for him. $3.15. It wasn't charity, it was instinct. But the next day, the manager wrote her up. "That kind of generosity doesn't look good on your file," he had said. "Especially not for someone like you. You don't want people thinking you're trying to get something, do you?" "Someone like you!" He meant black. Female. Broke. Replaceable. Lauren never forgot that humiliation. She never forgot how that man was treated like a mistake. And she never forgot how her kindness was treated like a threat. And now here she was, years later, wearing a paper visor and ketchup-stained apron. And Donald Trump, former president, was standing 10 feet away, asking for her by name. Lauren swallowed. She didn't move. She couldn't. What could this possibly be about? She hadn't protested anything. She hadn't posted anything viral. She hadn't even said much to anyone lately except, "Would you like fries with that? What does he want with me?" Then he said something else. "You don't know me, but my son does." The room shifted. Lauren blinked. My son. Her mind snapped back to a memory. A quiet night. A polite, nervous teen with striking gray-blue eyes. Soft voice. Expensive jacket. No wallet? A simple order. Big Mac, fries, Coke. A moment of hesitation, and then she, without a word, swiped her employee card and paid for him. She'd forgotten. He hadn't. And now, the boy she helped had brought back his father. Not just a father, the father. One of the most powerful men in America, standing in her McDonald's, looking for her. Because of a $9.70 meal she never even thought about again. Lauren didn't know what to say. Didn't know what to feel. All she knew was this moment had been waiting for her. Quietly, invisibly, for months. Maybe years. And now it had arrived. Have you ever helped someone quietly and wondered if it even mattered? Tell us in the comments. Because sometimes what you forget, someone else remembers forever. The night it happened wasn't special. No storm, no fireworks, no sign from the universe. Just another Friday evening at McDonald's. Soft golden light from inside bleeding into the quiet street of Brookside Avenue. The sky was fading into a bruised purple, and the last rays of daylight slid off the windows like melted gold. Inside, the rhythm of routine reigned. Fryers sizzled. Drinks clinked into plastic cups. Footsteps squeaked gently across waxed tile floors. And behind the counter, Lauren Carter moved like clockwork, hands fast, precise, focused. The buzz of the overhead light, the beep of the register, the swirl of ketchup packets in her apron pocket. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't terrible. It was what she did, night after night, because she had to. Lauren wasn't trying to make friends here. She wasn't here to impress anyone. She was here to survive. College wasn't cheap. Rent wasn't patient. And people didn't care why you were tired. They just wanted their combo hot, their drink cold, and their receipt printed. Still, she took pride in doing things right. Lauren had always believed kindness didn't need to be loud. You could fold it into the way you greeted someone, how you handed over a tray, how you held the door open longer than necessary, even if no one noticed. Because someone always needed that softness, even in places wrapped in grease and noise. And then he walked in. Not him, not Trump, but the boy. He looked about 17, maybe 18. Tall, pale, sharp cheekbones under soft blonde hair. He wore a gray designer coat that didn't match the setting, and sneakers that had probably never stepped in a fast food restaurant before. But what Lauren noticed first were his eyes. Pale gray blue. Still, calculating. But also unsure, like he wasn't used to ordering food on his own. He glanced at the board overhead, trying to pretend like he wasn't. But Lauren knew that look. I don't know how this works, and I don't want to be embarrassed. So she did what she always did. She made it simple. Hi, take your time. No rush, she said with a small smile. You want me to walk you through it? The boy's shoulders dropped half an inch, a flicker of relief in his eyes. He nodded. Just, a Big Mac, fries, Coke. His voice was low, steady, and unfamiliar with this kind of transaction. Lauren rang it up. $9.70. He reached into his coat pocket, then checked the other, then his jeans. And that's when everything shifted. Lauren saw it before he even spoke. His hand slowed. His jaw tightened slightly. His eyes darted once, then stilled. He didn't have his wallet. Most workers would have just waited, let him fluster, let him backpedal, let him leave. Lauren didn't. She didn't say anything, didn't ask, didn't pause. She just took out her employee card, swiped it. Beep. Don't worry, she said, sliding the tray toward him with a soft smile. No pity, no big deal, just quiet, unbothered decency. He stared at the tray, then at her. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. Lauren didn't need a thank you. Didn't care who he was. She was already punching in the next order. And in her mind, he was already gone. Just another blur in the sea of faces that passed her every shift. But in his, she had just shifted the axis of his world. She never even asked his name. If she had, she might have choked on it. Because that boy, the one who forgot his wallet, whose Coke she had paid for without blinking, was Baron Trump. Have you ever helped someone simply because they looked like they needed it? No thanks, no expectations, just something inside you said, "This is right. Tell us your story." Because sometimes the moments we forget are the ones someone else remembers forever. The halls of Brightwater Estate didn't echo with kindness. They echoed with legacy, with deals struck behind glass doors, with staff who bowed but never asked questions, with secrets, not stories. But that night, weeks after the McDonald's visit, Baron sat alone at the 12-foot oak dining table, stirring his untouched soup. His father finally noticed. "What's going on with you?" Trump asked, not looking up from his phone. "Nothing? Don't lie. You've been quiet all week, and you've canceled 2 press dinners. That's not like you." Baron hesitated, and then he spoke. "There's a girl. She paid for my food." Trump looked up. "What?" "At McDonald's. I didn't have my wallet. She didn't even blink. Just swiped her card. Didn't ask who I was. Treated me like any other kid. And you're shaken by that? No, Barron said softly. I'm changed by that. For a long moment, the room was still. Trump didn't speak, didn't scoff, didn't joke. Instead, he slowly set his phone down. For all his bluster and armor, Trump knew one truth better than most. Kindness without expectation is rare. In his world, no one did anything for free. Everything had a price tag, a motive, a deal to be closed. So when his son, calm, often closed off, spoke with this kind of clarity, he listened. You get her name? Lauren Carter. And you're sure she didn't know who you were? I'm sure, Barron said. And honestly, it made it mean more. Trump leaned back in his chair. He remembered his own father's words. Never owe anyone. But this felt different. He didn't owe Lauren in the traditional sense. She hadn't asked for anything. But decency like that? You respond to it. You don't ignore it. Where's the receipt? Barron blinked. What? The food receipt from that night. Barron pulled it from his wallet. He'd kept it. Crumpled, soft at the edges. He handed it over. Trump glanced at it. Brookside Avon McDonald's, 9:47 p.m. He stood. Get the car ready. Later that night, in the private wing of the estate, Trump stood by the window. The stars were faint, the city lights too loud. But his mind wasn't on the view. It was on a girl he'd never met, a waitress who acted like no one else had before. Not because he was famous, not because she wanted anything, but because she saw someone in need and didn't flinch. He had spent a lifetime building walls. She had broken one with a $9.70 gesture. He turned to his assistant. No press, no tweets, no photo ops. Sir, we're going to see her, in person, quietly. No one needs to know. And for once, Donald Trump didn't care if anyone was watching. Do you believe the richest people in the world still remember what it means to be surprised by kindness? Have you ever surprised someone powerful with a small act they didn't expect? Tell us your story. Because sometimes the smallest gestures echo the loudest. The Tuesday shift started like any other. Lauren tied her apron, punched in her code, and walked to the register with a half-drunk iced coffee and a mental checklist of bills she hadn't paid yet. The same flickering bulb still buzzed above the sauce station. The same kid from drive-thru still hummed Drake under his breath. Same smell of fryer oil. Same aching feet. Nothing about that day felt extraordinary, which is exactly why what happened next felt so unreal. 9:43 a.m. The door chimed. Lauren looked up, expecting an early customer in a trucker hat or a mom juggling toddlers. But what stepped in was the man from the TV, the man from campaign rallies, from courtroom sketches, from global summits and late-night shows and history books in real time. Donald Trump. And he wasn't looking around. He wasn't asking for a meal. He was looking directly at her. Is there a Lauren Carter here? He asked. The room fell into a vacuum. Lauren didn't breathe, didn't blink, didn't move. Her name, spoken by him, cut through her like ice. She tried to steady herself, but her fingers curled tighter around the counter. This had to be a prank, an impersonator, or a mistake. But then she saw his eyes, and behind him, Barron, quiet, still, standing like a silent explanation. Lauren's mind raced. Was she in trouble? Was this about something else? Why is he here? What does he want? And then the old voice returned. You help the wrong people, Lauren. You think it makes you noble? It makes you naive. That voice had belonged to her old shift manager, the one who almost fired her when she gave free coffee to a white man who looked homeless. He'd whispered about optics. He'd said words like boundaries, policy, and reputation. He'd written her up. She'd cried in her car for an hour before going home to reheat noodles and pretend none of it mattered. But it had. It always did, because being black, being female, being visible in spaces that weren't made for you, meant your kindness came with consequences. Even when it was just a $3 coffee, even when it was just a Big Mac. So as Trump stood there now, Lauren didn't feel proud. She felt exposed, like every person in that restaurant had suddenly been given permission to judge her. Not just for who she was, but for what she had dared to do without asking anyone's permission. Her hands trembled. Trump stepped forward. No cameras, no security detail crowding behind him. Just a quiet tension that wrapped itself around the room like static. "You don't know me," he said, "but my son does." Lauren blinked. "That voice, that boy!" It clicked. The night, the order, the missing wallet, the tray she paid for, and the way he had stared at her like no one ever had. Not with pity, not with fear, just surprise. Trump continued. "He told me what you did. You didn't know him. You didn't need to do anything. But you did. And that meant something." Lauren couldn't speak. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. The ketchup machine hissed in the background, as if trying to fill the silence. She wasn't used to being recognized. Not for this. Not for something she had already forgotten. I didn't do it for anything," she managed. Trump nodded. "That's why we're here." For a moment, time bent. A girl in a fast food uniform. A billionaire standing across from her. The balance of power shifted, but the respect was equal. Have you ever been punished or questioned for doing the right thing? Have you ever been told your kindness was too much? Tell us your story. Because sometimes justice doesn't come loud. It walks in quietly through the front door. Most people thought Lauren was just calm. Quiet, reserved, unbothered. But calm like hers doesn't come from peace. It comes from training. From pain swallowed so deeply it no longer leaves a taste. Just wait. 3 years before a billionaire walked into her shift, Lauren was working late nights at Penny's Diner. It was the kind of place that smelled like burnt toast and mop water, where the booths wobbled and the regulars came in half drunk and half broken. She was 19, broke, tired, stretching every tip to cover gas and her mom's medications. One night, during a slow rain and slower shift, a man came in. White, mid-30s, soaked, silent. He sat in the back booth and ordered a black coffee. When it came time to pay, he reached into his coat and froze. He mumbled something about forgetting his wallet, said he'd come back tomorrow. He was ready to walk out, humiliated. Lauren didn't let him. Without saying a word, she swiped her own card. 315s. No eye roll, no speech. She just nodded and slid the receipt across the counter like it was nothing. Because to her, it was nothing, and everything. Her mother had raised her like that. Never charge someone for mercy. He looked up, startled. Then he left. She never saw him again. She thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. The next day, her manager called her into the back office. His shirt sleeves were rolled up like he was about to do something important. He sat her down and folded his hands. "You paid for a customer," he said flatly. Lauren nodded. "He couldn't pay," she explained. "It was $3. "You can't do that," he replied. "That's theft." She blinked. "I didn't take anything. I gave." He pulled a write-up form from the drawer. "We don't run a charity. You don't know who that man was. For all you know, he'll be back tomorrow expecting another free ride. And what message does that send?" "It sends a message that we're human," she said quietly. His eyes narrowed. "No, it sends a message that we're weak." She signed the write-up, walked outside, and cried in her car until the windows fogged over. She almost quit that night. But her mother said something that stayed. "Don't let people shame you out of being kind. One day someone will see it, and it will matter." So Lauren kept going, night after night, shift after shift. No grand gestures, no hashtags. Just small, invisible mercies folded into greasy bags and plastic trays. She never expected anyone to notice. Certainly not someone like Baron Trump. But now, years later, as she stood in that McDonald's lobby, face to face with the very system that once punished her for caring, she realized this wasn't about going viral or being rewarded. It was about proving that kindness isn't naive. It's deliberate, powerful, and one day, when the world least expects it, kindness walks back through the door and remembers your name. The silence between them felt like it could split glass. Lauren kept her hand still on the counter, even as her fingers twitched beneath the surface. Trump stood in front of her with a stillness that didn't match his reputation. There were no flashing cameras, no booming voices, no slogans, only a strange, heavy quiet. Then, slowly, he reached into the inside pocket of his coat. Her breath caught. 1,000 fears screamed at once. Would he make this political? Public? Would this become a circus? Her body tensed out of instinct, not because she feared him, but because she'd spent her whole life preparing for men with power to twist a kind act into something transactional. But instead, he pulled out a small white envelope. No gold logo, no dramatic flourish, just an envelope. Simple and silent. He handed it to her. Lauren didn't reach for it right away. Her eyes searched his face for a sign. A trick. A camera. A catch. "There's no strings," he said, as if reading her mind. "No press, no deal. Just a thank you." Her hand rose slowly. She took the envelope. Inside, a single page. Thick paper, cream-colored, neatly typed. Her name at the top. And below it, a full-ride scholarship. 4 years. Anywhere she wanted. Tuition. Books. Housing. All covered. She blinked hard, staring at the signature at the bottom. His and someone else's. His son, maybe. The words blurred, but not because of poor printing. She looked up. "I didn't do anything special." He shook his head. "You didn't do it because it was special. You did it because it was right." Lauren swallowed. Her throat tightened. Her thoughts flickered back to Penny's diner. To that write-up. To her mother's voice whispering over leftovers. One day, someone will see it. Now someone had. Still, a question rose in her chest before she could stop it. "What about the girl I work with?" she asked quietly. "Emily. Her mother got deported last year. She's been working 2 jobs, barely sleeping, still managing A's. No one sees her." Trump paused. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I already got more than I expected. But she never even got a chance to expect anything." He nodded slowly. "I'll make some calls, quietly." She let out a shaky breath. That should have been the end of it. But then Trump leaned in slightly, voice lowered. "You didn't just help my son. You reminded him there are people who do the right thing, even when no one's watching." Lauren bit her lip. "I don't need attention, or to be a hero." "You already were," he said. "That's why you didn't notice." The envelope felt heavier now. Not from the paper, but from what it meant. She folded the letter slowly and placed it back inside. This wasn't about fame, or politics, or some viral moment. It was about having space to dream. And for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel like she was borrowing someone else's future. She felt like she owned it. Lauren looked him in the eye. "I'm still going to show up for my shift tomorrow." "I figured," he said. "And I'm still going to bring Emily dinner on Thursdays." "You better." They both smiled. A strange, quiet understanding passed between them. And just like that, he left. No cameras, no announcements, just a billionaire who walked in, and a waitress who stayed exactly where she was. But everything had changed, because someone finally saw her. Not as a worker, not as a story, not even as a hero, but as a person who had chosen kindness again and again, even when it cost her. By sunrise the next day, the story had taken on a life of its own. Someone had posted a blurry photo. Someone else had added a caption. And now, her face was being shared across feeds she didn't follow and blogs she'd never heard of. They didn't know her name, not yet, but they knew her uniform, her skin, her silence. The waitress Trump thanked in person. Black kindness changes billionaire's heart. No cameras, just respect. Lauren didn't have time to process any of it. Her shift started at 6 a.m. She tied her apron, clocked in, and tried to pretend it was just another morning. It wasn't. At 7:20, her manager called her into the office. "There's someone here from corporate," he said, eyes darting. "He's waiting for you in the lot." Lauren stepped outside and found him leaning against a black SUV. Pressed shirt, tight smile, clipboard in hand. His name was Brad. "Lauren Carter? That's me. Can we talk a sec?" She nodded, arms folded tight across her chest. He led her to the shaded side of the building like it was some confidential operation. As if anyone cared about the truth behind a viral photo. "So, wow," he said, grinning. "Crazy day yesterday, huh?" Lauren said nothing. No one expected that. The man himself, walking in, no cameras. It's gold, authentic. I mean, this is the kind of thing that makes national headlines look small. He handed her a folder. "Just a release form. Legal stuff. Gives us permission to use your name, image, story, basic PR things. We want to feature you in next quarter's campaign." Lauren didn't take the folder. "Why?" Brad looked confused, as if no one had ever asked that before. "Why not? Your face is already out there. We can help shape the message. Tell your story right." She stared at him. "You mean package it?" "No, highlight it. People need hope. You gave them that. Why not share it?" Lauren tilted her head. "Did you highlight my story when I got written up for paying for someone's coffee at the diner?" Brad blinked. "Excuse me? 3 years ago, I got written up for helping a hungry man. No one came to shape that message. No campaign, no spotlight. I don't think that's relevant." "It's completely relevant," she said, "because that act and this one are the same. The only thing that's changed is who I helped." Brad's jaw tightened. "We just want to support you, Lauren. Then don't turn me into a poster." She picked up the folder, looked at it, then handed it back. "No." It was quiet. Brad tried again. "You understand this could mean exposure, scholarships, invitations. I already got my scholarship, and exposure's overrated. This is bigger than just you." "Exactly," she said, "which is why I don't want to be used." His smile faded. "You're making a mistake." She didn't flinch. "No, I'm finally not." She walked back inside. Didn't slam the door. Didn't cry. Just clocked back in and took the next order, as if nothing happened. But everything had, because for the first time in her life, she had looked power in the eye and said what she'd never been allowed to say. No. 2 weeks later, no one was talking about it anymore. Not the headlines, not the hashtags, not even the local news. Something louder had come along. Another scandal, another trend. Lauren kept showing up. Same schedule, same shoes, same counter. But something inside her had changed. She no longer moved like she was trying to disappear. She didn't apologize when she hadn't done anything wrong. She stood straighter, spoke slower, and listened deeper, because now she knew someone might be listening back. On a rainy Thursday afternoon, just after the lunch rush, her manager walked over with a puzzled look. "You've got mail," he said, holding a padded envelope. "No return address?" Lauren raised an eyebrow. Mail at work was rare. She took it carefully. Inside, a single sheet of paper, thick and warm to the touch. Handwritten. Neat cursive. "I don't know how you remembered me, but I've never forgotten you. BT." Tucked behind it, a faded receipt. Penny's Diner. 3:15, paid in full. She froze. Her thumb ran over the ink, now slightly smudged from time. She remembered the night, the wet coat, the coffee, the man who couldn't meet her eyes. And now he had become the boy who remembered hers. It was him, not the polished son of a former president, not the quiet, shadowy man who slipped through the McDonald's doors. Just a kid, once hungry, once forgotten, now returning a debt she never considered owed. Lauren sank into the break room chair. She smiled. Then a tear slid down, quick and quiet. Not from sadness, not from pride, just recognition. That even the smallest kindness, done quietly, had a way of echoing through time. She thought that was the end, but it wasn't. 10 minutes later, a customer stepped inside. Young, 16, maybe. Black hoodie, loose backpack, rain-damp shoes. She walked up to the counter, hesitant. "Are you Lauren?" "Yeah. He said you'd be here." "Who?" The girl hesitated. Then, "My dad." Lauren blinked. "Who's your dad?" The girl didn't answer with words. Instead, she pulled out a folded piece of paper from her pocket, crinkled at the edges. A blank college application. He said, "If I didn't know where to begin, I should come to you." Lauren felt the weight in her throat rise again. "You don't know how to start?" she asked gently. The girl shook her head. Lauren reached below the counter, pulled the Penny's Diner receipt from her apron pocket, and laid it beside the form. "Start here," she said, "with proof that the smallest things matter." Later that night, after closing, Lauren stayed behind. The restaurant was quiet, chairs stacked, floors mopped, fryers off. World paused. She walked to the employee bulletin board, took a pushpin from her pocket, and pinned the receipt above the time clock. Not as a trophy, not as a reminder of who she served, but as a symbol that kindness could outlive the moment, that every act leaves a trail, and that sometimes the story isn't about who you become. Sometimes it's about what you leave behind. In the distance, headlights blinked. The girl from earlier sat in the passenger seat of a black SUV, waiting, reading. Lauren stood at the door and watched. She didn't wave, didn't cry, just stood in the glow of the closed sign. Silent, steady, because some things don't need to be said, and some stories don't need an audience. They just need to be passed on. Some stories don't need applause. Some kindness doesn't need credit. It just needs to echo into someone else's hands, someone else's moment. And maybe this is yours. If you've ever had a moment like this, when a small act changed everything, share it below. Or tell us, what would your receipt be? Because in the quiet corners of the world, your story might be the one someone else is waiting for.